Thank you for watching the Sustainability Chat. The Sustainability Institute is a 501c3 not-for-profit organization located in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Our mission is to catalyze sustainable action in the Seven Rivers region through educating about local sustainability issues and solutions, advocating for climate and sustainable action, connecting like-minded organizations and people to each other, and inspiring a positive vision for a sustainable future. We hope you check out all of our programs and events, like our Sustainability Chats, Green Goose Chase, Earth Fair, and the Inspiring Sustainability Awards. The Sustainability Institute programs and operations could not happen without our generous donating members. We want to thank them all today. If you find what we do meaningful, please consider donating and becoming a member by heading to our website, sustaininstitute.com. Once there, click on the Donate and Become a Member button on the top of the page. Support at any level is greatly appreciated, and your donation is tax deductible. Now on to today's Sustainability Chat with Professor Alysa Remsburg.
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Sustainability Institute Sustainability Chat. My name is Casey Meehan. I'm the Director of Programming at the Sustainability Institute. If you're not familiar with who we are a small 501c3 located in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is in the Driftless region. And at the Sustainability Institute, we believe and think about sustainability as something more holistic than just environmental sustainability. Of course, it includes environmental sustainability, that's important, but we also envision sustainability to include other things that lead to that create a more vibrant community, like committing to strong, transparent democracies and healthy local economies and quality education. And we believe that embracing those things and that version of sustainability leads to really an abundance of all the things that we want, like clean air and water and nutritious food and decent jobs and biodiversity. And again, help set up our communities to really be more vibrant now and in the future. And what we do at the Sustainability Institute is we help the Driftless region create this positive vision of what could be by celebrating regional sustainability efforts and connecting individuals to those efforts and to each other. And so today we're really lucky to be having a conversation with Alysa Remsburg, who is the Director of Sustainability and Environmental Studies program at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. So Professor Remsburg, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to start just with a question sort of set in the context. How did you first become interested in sustainability, and what early experiences shaped the path that you're on today?
Hi, thanks. I think my pathway is similar maybe to a lot of my students, with it starting as a love for the outdoors, and my parents fostered that. For example, we got to have a trash can sunk into the ground which we turned into a pond, and then just collected critters and observed our little backyard pond. I joined an environmental group in middle school called Wake Up, We Are Keeping Earth Under Protection. So I was always kind of gung-ho. And then in high school, I was a part of Model United Nations, and I insisted on being in the environment program, always working on the environmental topics. I also had excellent teachers that fostered my learning about ecology and environmental science. So it started as a commitment to animals and biodiversity, and then it became awareness of how the climate crisis and other contaminants are affecting people. And that expanded a lot when I taught with an interdisciplinary team in Maine. And so it helped me move beyond the world of biology into environmental justice and other aspects of sustainability. And yeah, so it's just kind of been a part of my personal interests and commitment throughout my life.
And what was you've got a PhD. What is it in? What did you study?
Yeah, the department is zoology. It's from UW-Madison, and I was basically working on community ecology, and so how environmental and other factors influence the diversity of dragonflies and damselflies. That was my focus. Yeah, and so I was interested in how shoreline development affected the diversity of species living where we have cottages and cabins up north, and what we could do to promote greater biodiversity.
Cool. And you've also been, in addition to your work at UWL and your academic work, you've been really deeply involved in SOLS, which is Solar on Lacrosse Schools. And that's an organization that did something really rare. It achieved its mission. So it was a nonprofit. Actually, you guys did what you set out to do, which is amazing. So could you bring us up to date? What did Souls do? What did you set out to do? What did it accomplish? And what's happening now with the whole idea of solar on lacrosse schools?
Sure. I wouldn't say it's all done because, we have this dream of solar on every school in lacrosse, but we are able to hand off the work to the district, which, previously wasn't able to or interested in starting investing in solar. And so when we got started in 2020, we were happy to see that, they had already been working on efficiency, and so we're ready to take the next step of, having alternative energy and promoting education through their own facilities. And so we found good collaborators within the school district and other collaborators, which enabled installation of panels at 5 different schools, mostly rooftop projects, for a total of 923 solar panels, which is pretty exciting. And so our work included fundraising, advocacy within the district, and organizing, I believe it was around 15 public engagement events. So this is over the course of 6 years, 5 years. And so we recently handed the solar planning reins over to the school district because they are now making solar installations part of their regular decision making. Some of the solar education work will be carried on with the Nature Place. And then our advocacy was our third realm, advocating for sustainability within the district. And we now have a sustainability team for the school district of La Crosse. And I continue working on that. I believe this team created the state's first climate action plan for a public school district. So that is very exciting, and we still have work to do on the team. And so as the school district is always having budget challenges, and they are planning to keep investing in solar, but they will still certainly receive donations for projects directed at solar that can go through the La Crosse Public Education Foundation. They've been excellent partners for us. And of course, we did have a lot of help from donors in the community who helped this effort snowball and become even bigger than we first dreamed of.
Sure. You mentioned one of the sort of branches is education and helping students sort of become educated around solar. Could you give an example? Like, what are some of the things that our elementary school kids or middle school kids are doing around solar now because of SOLS?
Well, we have solar ovens that are easy for teachers to demonstrate how energy can cook things and warm things. And so those will be at the Nature Place. We also have a battery pack that's powered by a solar panel, and it has a monitor on the little battery that shows you what energy is going in and what energy is going out. So you can do lessons on energy efficiency, and just demonstrate like real tangibly how we can get energy from this solar panel onto something. And then we have all the live energy feeds for the solar rooftop arrays that teachers and others could use to show, when are we generating the most energy on our district, on our own building actually, and what are the cost savings that we could calculate this? What do some of the units mean? So we have some lesson ideas that we're trying to share and just trying to bring people's awareness of the rooftop solar at our buildings.
And can people still access those lessons on the SOLS website?
Yes, our website, solaronlacrosseschools.org, I believe is what it is, will be up through about May of this year. We're not going to keep paying for that domain. And so the lessons after that, I am still trying to figure out where they'll go. Those project websites, with the live energy generation, those should hopefully be housed on the school district's website. So I'm working on that transition. People can always contact me for specific lesson ideas until I find another place to share them.
Cool, cool. And so okay, so this work isn't totally complete and that there's not panels up on every school yet. Um, but clearly Souls has been very successful. What do you think are some of the most important lessons from Souls that other sustainability leaders should learn, especially those who are like, building organizations and programs today around sustainability? What are the takeaways that we can learn from Soul's success?
I don't know if it works for everyone, but for me, it was inspiring and less overwhelming to work on a narrow focus. It felt more tangible, way to make steps forward and not feel like we have to do everything that is needed for sustainability. I also love that we were able to merge the co-benefits of education, environmental action, and smart investing, to make it an easy sell in the community. And we were planning this work even before we heard of this anonymous donor who was ready to support solar. But because of that opportunity, it allowed the work to grow much faster and have even a bigger impact than it would without large donations. So, of course, finding out how to match with the interests of donors is always helpful.
Yeah.
One thing that I personally found helpful was actually our creation of newsletters, which we tied to kind of the seasonal cycle with our equinox and solstice deadlines for when to publish our quarterly newsletters. So there were 18 that we created overall to share our progress. And then it kept us on track internally with goal setting, making sure we have updates to share regularly. Because, some of this is just a big long-term project, but we want to have a short-term deadline of something to report at the summer solstice.
Hmm.
And then we also had monthly meetings to hold us accountable for our own goals and action steps. And we were highly supportive of each other. So yeah, I just couldn't have done this kind of thing without knowing there was friends and collaborators also interested in it as well.
And this was all a team of volunteers, correct?
Yes, yes. And usually just a handful or so of us at the meetings.
Wow. Um, okay, so you're also, as I mentioned earlier, the Director of Sustainability and Environmental Studies program at UWL. Uh, Tell us a little bit about that program. What's its focus, who's involved, and what are the outcomes you're most proud of?
Well, we're a minor that serves students from all different majors on campus, and that's wonderful to have students interact with different types of professional tracks or interests. We teach a general education course to over 800 students a year. It's an introductory sustainability and environmental studies course that's a general education. It helps us think about relationships with the natural world. And it's distinct from environmental science, which is a major in a different college. So we're in the College of Arts, Social Science, and Humanities. Our strength is incorporating human dimensions of sustainability. So this includes humanities fields, such as the values, the history, the storytelling about sustainability. And then we also focus a lot on pressing issues with environmental justice. And so environmental justice is working for equity and access to a healthy environment and involvement of all people in decision making about our environment. So our program has also been really successful with community partnerships, field trips, and a sense of place. A lot of focus on this region and seeing ideas in action as we work with community partners or hear directly from local experts.
Sure. What you've taught a number of courses within this program. What's your favorite course to teach?
Well, I guess I really like Woodlands of the Driftless because I've enjoyed the projects recently in that. And I like how students are motivated to learn the names of trees, actually. So that's just fun to get some basic ecology and natural history, connecting to our local environment. So I always do it in the fall so we can be outside. And it has, yeah, it's just been a great excuse to get out in the woods.
Yeah, cool, cool. And how many other instructors are involved in this program?
Oh, well, there is one other full-time instructor and about four others who teach part-time in the introductory course.
Cool. Since you started in this role, so you've been at UWL for a number of years, what shifts have you seen in student engagement with sustainability? Are you serving any types of, different students now, or seeing interests and motivations change over the years?
Well, we continue to have students from all different majors in this minor. Um, we used to do a lot more evening and weekend field trips. The students are working a lot, making that a challenge. Um, they need more push these days to attend events or join clubs or do service. Um, they're not necessarily attending things for fun with friends as much, is what I'm sad to report from my perspective. So I think it's because they're really focused on education as an investment, investment in careers. And so we really need to articulate, what are you gaining from doing this service work or from attending this event, even if you're not, being tested on a concept. We're highlighting what the UWL calls Eagle Advantage skills. These are competencies that employers are seeking, things like adaptability, collaboration, accountability, self-development. So I know that can sound kind of like a downer to not be as focused on, just fulfillment of connecting with the environment. But students get that along the way as well, and we're helping to make them marketable in their careers. Um, I'm also seeing more students with environmental science AP credit, although the level of knowledge about environmental problems or challenges is really variable. So so it just continues to be important to have conversations and realize that your perspective on climate change may be completely different from others on campus. And we tend to forget that our students are not all like us, and it's really good for them to talk to each other about their views.
Yeah,
So a lot of discussion continuing in all the classes.
that's great. I mean, it's those discussions where people actually, when they're confronted with people that have different opinions and different ideas, I mean, that's where the real learning happens, I think, in these, in classes that are especially more sort of liberal arts based. Do you have is there a sustainability success story from the program or from a, student that you have in mind that really captures what makes the sustainability minor, possible?
It's hard to narrow it down. I guess I'll just say, like, it's always successful to do community engagement, to work with partners. I'm going to highlight Margot Higgins, my colleague, work in lobbying for the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program in Madison, taking students to actually talk with our representatives. And she's also leading an Indigenous Actions Collective, which is a cross-campus collaboration that resulted from Robin Wall Kimmerer's visit to campus in 2024, when we energized over 1,000 people about Indigenous wisdom. And also it really brought up the idea of multiple ways of understanding the environment and just our relationships with Indigenous folks around here. So that work is continuing as a result of that big event and people realizing that we have a lot to learn from each other, including our off-campus partners.
Sure.
And if I could pick one student to highlight, maybe a lot of the listeners know of Mackenzie Mindell, one of our city council representatives. She was a philosophy major and one of my first environmental studies capstone students. In that class, she became interested in building preservation. We take a tour about how sustainability relates to saving, old buildings. And so that partly is what led to her interest in one of her committees on the city. And she's working as a lead fellow now, which also applies, city city design concepts in terms of sustainability. So we're really happy to be a collaborator with her outside the classroom now.
Yeah, I
And
didn't
then
realize Mackenzie was one of your students.
yeah.
Fun.
And a lot of the folks here know Meg Erdenbot from Mongolia. I'm so excited that she wants to apply sustainability and agriculture to her home country of Mongolia. And I just wrote a recommendation letter for her for a graduate program, um,
Yeah,
as
me
you probably
too.
did
Me
as
too.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's just been really uplifting student stories.
Cool. Are there any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that you're especially excited about?
Well, I worked last fall, was it 2024, into the spring of 2025 on the Hinukwas Tree Trail. And so that was with my Woodlands of the Driftless class, other collaborators on campus, and the language division from the Ho-Chunk Nation. And so I still want people to notice that there's signs on campus and a website that explains how we can get to know the tree people in our community here. There are, I believe, 38 signs on campus, and accompanying the English and scientific names are Ho-Chunk names for each of these trees. So it's a way to appreciate multiple ways of knowing the species here, and we're not the first to get to know and name these trees. And then we also researched how Ho-Chunk folks have used those different tree species, so you can learn a little about the ecology and the culture of this area. And I continue to use that tree trail with my intro students, and in the Woodlands class, I hope to have them each get to know and write about a specific tree. So that's a future edition.
And can anyone come on campus and follow that tree trail?
Yes. Yeah, there's a loop that kind of starts near the student union, and it goes toward the clock tower and then around Centennial Hall and back up toward, it goes out to the corner by State and 16th. So you could also start there if you don't want to start at number one, and then it goes back toward the union. So just check out the website, and there are printed copies of the map that are available in the union as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so really fun to get to know. These are all native tree species, native to this region. And of course, there's some gaps in loss of some of the Ho-Chunk names, but we can still learn a lot about most of the trees here, and then continue to ask questions about how are each of these trees unique, and paying attention to what's in our midst.
What's a, so considering that project, what is one of the most surprising things that you found out or discovered during that project?
Well, I guess I wrote about it in the intro on the webpage, because just hearing Samson Falcon talk about how he learned trees because of their use, and he would learn which trees are good for burning in the summer versus burning in the winter, in terms of which produce more light or more heat. And so that's an inspiring way to learn about our natural environment, is to think about our relationship with them, and not just be learning things in a traditional classroom setting. We can I also like how he talked about learning from his grandparents, and so lots of wise ideas from our Ho-Chunk neighbors.
Cool. And finally, one last question here. Is there a
Oh, can I
book?
add another
Oh,
upcoming
please.
project?
Yes.
I'm excited to share that the Sustainability and Environmental Studies program is working on a certificate. So this is hot off the press, not quite fully proposed, but we've heard from students that they don't have time to fit in all the credits for environmental studies or a sustainable business minor, but they may be interested in many of the courses. So instead of a full minor, we're offering a 12 credit undergraduate certificate. We're hoping to offer this, and it would be focused on skills for a sustainability professional. So yeah, so you wouldn't get the full picture of how people relate to the environment as much, and not as many courses, but you could pair it with a lot of other majors and career tracks where you just want to fit in a little bit more sustainability knowledge. and of course, we would highlight how equity is a component of it, and how to work on motivating and enabling collaborative problem solving. And we're hoping to have experience implementing a strategy as part of this certificate.
Cool. When do you hope to have that launched?
Maybe the next year. Yeah,
Okay. Nice.
I'm not sure how long it'll take.
Yeah, to move through the bureaucracy, right? It takes a little bit of time. Yeah. Finally, is there a book about sustainability or climate that you've read recently that's really stayed with you? And what did you take away from it?
Well, the book, I guess this is not quite as related to climate, but I just read Zoe Schlanger's Light Eaters. And so it's about plants, and even brings up kind of a philosophical perspective of what else what are other behaviors of other beings, and so it does connect back to Kimmerer's perspective on plants as our relatives, and how and why we should show respect for them. So that was just like a fascinating multidisciplinary fun book to read. I guess I would say in terms of sustainability and climate, I've still continued to be most influenced by Kim Nichols' Under the Sky We Make. And so that's from a few years ago, but really got me questioning my own life.
Cool. And actually we've talked to other people recently that have recommended that same book. So clearly it's hitting a nerve with people. So great. Well, Dr. Alysa Remsburg, thank you so much for joining us and taking time to chat. I know you're busy getting ready for the new semester, so we really appreciate all the work that you're doing and the time that you took to celebrate sustainability with us today.
Thanks to Sustainability Institute, and I just feel so grateful to get to work on an area that's really my passion. So it's an honor. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you, Alysa.
To stay connected with the Sustainability Institute and stay aware of upcoming events, head on over to our website to join our mailing list. Once again, we want to thank you for watching this Sustainability Chat. We hope to see you soon.